Green Party candidate for president Jill Stein sat down with the Young Turks for an interview recently, and she laid out her plan for free college.
There are 43 million young people and going into middle age and beyond who are trapped in predatory student loan debt. They happen to be very well networked. They're really good at self-organizing on the internet. There's only one place that they can put their votes in order to cancel their debt. My campaign is the only one that will do for young people what our misleaders saw fit to do for Wall Street not that long ago, when they bailed them out to the tune of like 16 or 17 trillion dollars when you count all the free loans that they got. But it was about 4 trillion in free money in the form of so-called quantitative easing, which is a magic trick that basically people don't need to understand any more about than that it is a magic trick. So it was about 4 trillion we gave the crooks who crashed the economy. It's about time that we bail out the young people who are victims of that waste, fraud, and abuse on Wall Street.
Let me just be clear on that policy issue. So Bernie Sanders, for example, says free college education, it's about $75 billion a year. Okay, now the mainstream media says that's unrealistic, but they thought spending $1.7 trillion on the Iraq war was lovely and perfectly realistic. So I get that disconnect. But your proposal, it goes beyond that.
That's right. Oh, yes. And in fact, by the way, on free college education, it pays for itself. So there may be some money to put in, but it's returned at a rate of about 7 to 1, according to the track record of the GI Bill following the Second World War, where basically, returning GIs got free college education. And Congress was following the numbers. For every dollar that was put in, $7 were returned. So this is just bunk about it not being affordable. It's actually not affordable not to do it. So
and what about the existing loans?
The existing loans. Okay, so they're largely held by the U.S. government, which is sort of the final, place of accountability for that money. So they should be canceled in the same way that the debt of Wall Street was canceled.
It's so refreshing to hear a real conversation on policy substance. Because honestly, I consider a lot of the debates and discussions that we have today to be totally illegitimate, because you have a bunch of barking idiots and morons who don't have tenable positions for the year 2016. Their positions have been sufficiently disproven as ways to help the American people and do the right thing, but they still represent those positions and argue for it. Namely, I'm talking about the Republican Party, but even the establishment Democrats and the corporatist Democrats. They take so many positions that are just like, let's move 3% in the right direction, and then you guys will tell me how great I am because I threw you a little fucking bone as I bailed out Wall Street and helped out my donors more than anything else. No, I don't really consider you legitimate either. So they may be, slightly more legitimate than the carnival barkers and the epic morons in the Republican Party, but I still scoff at you because real policy debates and discussions are like we're seeing right here, where finally the spectrum in this discussion has shifted to something that is legitimate, which is, hey, should we do universal college? And, for example, allow people to take loans at 0% interest. Or should we do that? Or should we do that plus eliminating all the debt? See, this is what I consider a real debate, because this is actually a conversation that the American people would love to have, because it's in the realm of what they would like their government to do. You think the American people sit around all day like, gosh, I really wish ExxonMobil got another gigantic $4 billion subsidy from the government this year like they do every year. I really wish we gave billions of dollars more to the big banks and to Wall Street every year. I wish that we allowed more offshoring of tax money to the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas. No, the American people look at that, they're like, that's horrible. We have corporate welfare out the wazoo. We have pork barrel spending that goes to nonsense. We got all this stuff, and nobody sits down and says, how about we take this money and we reallocate it to things that actually help the people? So, you pay about the same in taxes, but hey, would you look at that? That money's actually going to something. It's going to healthcare. It's going to education. It's going to all these things. And that's where this debate is occurring. You have, and it goes on there, you guys could watch the rest of the clip there. Cenk says, look, that's too liberal for me. I'm in favor of universal college, or I guess, thereabouts is where he is on this issue. But I wouldn't necessarily cancel the debt, And she's saying, no, the moral thing to do is to cancel all the student loan debts, bail them out in the same way we bailed out Wall Street, and then also obviously have universal college. So yeah, this is a real policy debate. This is a real discussion, and it's a real attempt at representing the American people. And the media needs to cover candidates like Jill Stein. They need to cover Gary Johnson, because people need to know that there are other options. You don't just have Donald Trump. You don't just have Hillary Clinton. There are other things on the menu. Just because they're totally ignored by mainstream media and by, most of society, and people don't know about their options, doesn't mean they're not there. And then the final thing I'll say on this is, even if you think Jill Stein is too liberal for your taste, and there are many people who think that, Cenk goes on to say that in this interview himself, I would argue, and I have before on the show, this is a point I made years ago, that within the context of U.S. politics, it actually makes sense to support candidates who are further to the left of you. Now, why do I say that? Well, the answer is very simple. Our government is set up for conflict. So there's going to be compromise, there's going to be negotiations. Even if you're the most principled purist on the planet, you're going to have to make compromises, because half the fucking people in Congress are crazy people. So I hate the type of compromise people like Obama do and Hillary Clinton do, where they already concede up front to the Republicans, and then they, again, meet them from there. They fold even more to the point where they're just doing old Republican plans. I hate those kind of establishment corporatist Democrats. But here you have somebody who's an actual liberal, an actual progressive, who says, my starting position is universal college and we eliminate all the debt. So if that's the starting position in the debate, who knows? Maybe if she plays politics the right way, maybe if she twists the right arms, maybe if we get the right number of Democrats versus Republicans in Congress, maybe you actually end up just getting universal college like almost all the other modern nations have. She wanted to eliminate the debt, but hey, I had to give up on eliminating the debt because we had too much opposition. So now our cave compromise negotiation position is universal college for everybody, which is the original, Bernie Sanders plan.